We are back, and where are we right now today? Just a nice little evening where we're just chilling together. So happy that samcha is in full swing, and we have lots of exciting things to talk about today. But in true samcha fashion, it wouldn't be a samcha episode if we didn't talk about what we're snacking and drinking on today. Megan, do you wanna share what's going on in your world?
Yes. So I'm being a little bit of a psychopath. I'm just kidding. I'm just drinking the botanist.
Like
literally
straight from the bottle?
Like literally over ice. No.
You're
just a
drinking
little-
gin straight?
Straight, baby.
She's a psychopath.
Who drinks straight
like,
gin?
No one. This is my first time, so we'll see.
There's
Okay,
like
you
a
at
little
least have a lime. A lemon there.
Yes, I do have a lemon. So it's not completely straight, but I mean, I like it, so I wonder.
Gin
I'm
on
sure
the
it'll
rock.
be good.
Nice.
Yeah, truly. And then for food, I didn't have anything that I was thinking about. So then I like rummaged through my fridge, and then it actually looks like really nice and legit, but it's like it's a plate. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Of like leftover half like rotting radicchio and like a little bulb of endive. I have some chippies, and then I made like this like miso like dip thing. So it turned out really legit.
Wow, look at you.
If I do say so myself.
Whenever I see an endive, in my mind I say endive.
Endive.
Like Home Depot.
Home Depot.
What about you, Christina?
Me, I am.
Was that Christine or Christina?
It was like Christine. Ooh, whatever. Whoever wanted to respond.
But like, also, I'm gonna let Christina go last because she's gonna introduce the topic. So
Perfect.
All right. So I am drinking. Christine is drinking this Junmai Ginjo sake. It's called Meditation, and I bought it because there's like something funny on it. It says, or like not a full English statement. Maybe it's like a haiku. I don't know. It says, "Time went by. It's time to meditate. Listen to the voice of the universe with clear heart."
Wow.
Yeah, and then I am having dinner. It's bibimbap, and then I'm also snacking on some sumo citrus because it's citrus season. So maybe I can do like an ASMR like a. Can you hear that?
Ooh, yeah, I heard that. Yes.
Juicy.
Juicy. All right.
I'm drinking Russell's Reserve Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. I just went to my local liquor store and I was like, what's a good whiskey that's like not too expensive, but you know, I could use it to make old fashions. And that's what they shared. But I have just mixed that with some lemonade because I didn't want to have it on the rocks, like just directly.
Trying to be a psychopath.
But I have it with some lemonade, which I think complements it nicely. And then I have got like half an apple sliced, a Honeycrisp apple, because I put the other half in my salad today. So I had a half lying around. And here's our little ASMR moment.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Dude, this channel is moving quickly into the ASMR zone.
We should add that to our like categories for this podcast.
Stop.
Wow. All right. So as a reminder, samcha means round 3. And so we're going to have conversation with our drinks and our snacks over 3 rounds. We're going to get deeper in each round. And the topic for today is friendships, or more specifically, adult friendships. So with that, let's dive into ilcha. Cheers.
Cheers. We need a shot for this one.
I know.
We do?
Let's take a big gulp to start. Ilcha, we're going to start off easy. We're just going to talk about how we've made friends as an adult and where. So I don't know who here. Let's see who has like the most recent friend they've made. Maybe we can try to figure that out. Like, what's the most recent friend you've made? Yeah, that's the end of the question.
Oh,
That's like
Do you
actually
have
a
one?
friend versus like you just met someone at a
Met,
party.
yeah,
Yeah, but like
right.
really the most recent friend you've made.
oh,
Well, what do we consider
Mm,
like a friend or like a new friend?
maybe like
What
someone you
makes
maybe
a new friend?
maybe someone like you want to continue keeping the line open with, like
Mm,
keep in touch. You like met recently, and you're like, I like you. You're my kind. We're each other's kind, and let's
yeah.
like hang out more.
yeah, I agree. Are we naming names? No, we shouldn't name names.
No, we don't need to.
If anyone
This is
comes to
actually
mind.
hard. I think especially in this world where we just follow people on Instagram that we meet,
Hmm.
it's like really hard to think of like, okay, but like who is really like someone I consider my friend versus just like, oh, this cool person I met. But yeah, but there's like a stronger, association with the word friend.
Yeah, it is tough because like, and also there's like this weird like false sense of connection. Like I will know this person and I follow them on Instagram, for example, or we follow each other. And I haven't seen them in like 5 years, but I still weirdly feel kind of connected. That
Mm.
I recently had an experience where like we had some friends staying over at our place and I haven't seen them. Like I haven't Sean has seen them, but like I haven't seen them in like 5 years. But it still felt like I kind of knew where their lives were headed because I'm like following them on Instagram and seeing their Instagram stories and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
that is a really
that makes sense.
interesting.
Very interesting.
Hmm. Any recent friends? I have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one, but it's like it's almost like a cheat because she used to live like right next door and she actually moved to New York.
Mm.
But I feel like we still keep in touch or like we'll text every few days, every few weeks. Um, and, like we, if I were to visit New York, like I would visit her. If she were to come here, like, we would hang out. So I feel like maybe,
That's a good indicator because of like a friend is like if you're visiting, like would you want to hang out with them? Like if you're visiting their
yeah,
city, like
right,
even if
right.
it's just like a quick coffee. So that's
Yes.
a nice litmus test.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
God, it's like become much harder, obviously. And this is like obviously what we're going to talk about today, but
yeah.
it's just harder to gauge.
Yeah. I met someone yesterday for the first time. So she is also a YouTuber and she reached out to me
Mhm.
because she's based in California, but she was visiting New York and we create like similar type of content, even though she's actually like
Mm.
much younger than me, like 8 or 9 years younger.
Oh, wow.
But she's also a consultant. So she reached out and we got dinner yesterday and yeah, it was I wouldn't say it was like super, super deep, the conversation, but it was like not all super like high level and
Mm.
superficial. Cause I think it's because we talked about YouTube and we talked about creating
Mhm.
content and like struggles we're going through and like goals
Mm.
and stuff. So that was nice. That's like the first thing that comes to mind just because I met her yesterday and I would definitely like want to keep in touch with her.
That's a good.
Super recent.
Hmm.
I think like most of my friends I make through like mutual friends. So it's like I meet them through a friend, or like there's Megan, like we met through a friend.
Mm.
Christina and I didn't really meet through a friend. We just met because the universal, like you guys are going to be friends. And then I think that like one example that comes to mind that isn't like super directly related to like a mutual friend is this girl who I like recently met. We like followed each other on Instagram. We like met in person, and then I was like posting stories about my personal interests, and then she was like, I know someone who would be your people. So then
Mm.
we ended up having like a little lunch at my place. And we got along and we're like, yeah, we are each other's people. Like we have a lot of common interests. And it's like, I'm interested in food and I'm interested in BTS and like K-pop. So that was like a little fun way to meet someone, is that like someone is like paying attention to your interests and like another friend's interests, and then like bringing people together in that way, even though everyone kind of like recently met each other. So I think that's like through common interests, like Christina, what you were saying, there's like ways to meet people through the internet too.
Yeah. And well,
Yeah.
speaking of internet, so yesterday I met someone for the first time. That's kind of the first thing that popped into my head. But I would
Uh-huh.
say the most recent close friend that I've made, like as an adult, I think so. I'm like, shit, am I forgetting anybody? But
I know.
a recent friend I made as an adult was maybe like 5 years ago now at this point. 4 years ago. I think it was
Mhm.
like 4 years ago. So I was like in my mid to late 20s. So I would say that's very much adulthood. But we met through Bumble BFF when I was living
Mm.
in Ann
Oh,
Arbor.
cool.
So yeah,
Mm.
and that's the only friend I've ever made through Bumble BFF. I've met up with like a few people who you share common interests or like things like that. But as we all know, it is just hard to make like strong friendships.
Yeah.
So that would be, I think, the most recent like kind of strong like close friend that I've made as an adult. I think I've made many other recent friends who maybe were just like not quite as close as that.
I'm so curious what that
Mm.
process was like. Is Bumble BFF kind of like dating, or is
Mhm.
there, do you get like the nerves like before meeting up with the person, or is it like
um
you make the first
no.
chat move? Like how is it different?
Yeah, well, so I can't compare personally with using apps for dating, but I have like swiped on Christine's accounts. But it is very much similar. So Bumble BFF, there's a mode where there's Bumble Date, which is like the standard or like original Bumble. There's Bumble BFF, which is for friends, and I think there's actually also like Bumble Business, so you
Mm.
can
Oh.
like network for business purposes. But anyway, Bumble BFF, yeah, you like swipe right, swipe left. I think it allows like either party to respond. I think with the traditional Bumble date, for like hetero relationships, the girl has to respond
Mm.
first. But with
Mm.
Bumble BFF, it kind of doesn't matter. And I think you can open up to like who you like, what genders you want to be friends with, and things like that. But yeah, I mean, for me, I just took it as like I was living in Ann Arbor. I didn't have like a lot of friends in that area. I had my coworkers, I had some family, but not a lot of friends my age. So it was just a way for me to meet people. And, my personality is very much like half and half introvert, extrovert. So I think it just kind of depended on the day, like how like
Mm.
nervous I was, because there would be times where I'm just in
Mm.
a mood to meet someone new and like hang out and do something fun. And other
Yeah.
times where I have to like really hype myself up.
Yeah.
Dude, I was just gonna say, like, your E must have been real
Yeah.
strong at the time. Because,
Yeah.
like, that
Probably because I was
sounds.
bored.
You just see Megan's face. It's like
Yeah,
horrified.
the
Curling up.
eye in me, I'm like, oh my God, I need to go home into a corner.
Yeah.
This episode is not sponsored by Bumble BFF, but it will be.
Yes. Please sponsor us.
So when you're like meeting new friends, like Megan, when you met up with this new friend in New York, or Christina on like Bumble BFF, like what were like activities that you did together? Like typically, like you can grab like a drink or whatever, but is there like a preferred activity that you like to do when you're like meeting new people?
I mean, for me and this particular friend, I feel like it was like really easy because we literally lived next to each other. So it was really easy to be close because there wasn't like this whole buildup or like setup of, hey, on this day at this time, let's meet at, this spot and do X, Y, and Z. It's
Mm.
just like, hey, I just made like, this dish, like I have some extra, do you want some? Or like, did you have dinner yet? Or hey, I just like opened up a bottle of wine, like come over, or something like very easy. So it was like super easy to just like connect in that way. But in terms of like activities, I mean, I feel like a lot of it is like talking. And I think that's like also the introvert in me. Like I just like connecting with like one or two people like very intimately. And usually that ends up happening with like drinks and like a chat or like taking a walk or like, just activities that like maybe don't have a screen in front. Although we are over here in front of a screen.
Yeah, but we're talking a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing we're
That's
doing
true.
is talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
I think it's similar for me too. I think when it's someone that's like brand new and not connected to your circle in any way, so like my friend I met through Bumble BFF, it's like, let's get dinner and or drinks or lunch or whatever. And then you like slowly start to learn like your interests and stuff. So maybe you might do other like activities. But then I also realized, I have close friends I've made also like through Dane, like through my husband. And for that, it was just more like hanging out at home, like come over, like let's cook dinner, let's watch a movie. But yeah, so I like just those very like simple activities where you're just spending time together. I don't know, nothing fancy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Christine's like, well, I like to go skydiving
Yeah.
with
Axe throwing.
yeah, axe throwing.
No, I think I'm the same. It's always over like food, drinks,
Yeah.
or like coffee. Nothing, I don't, or like phone calls too. I think that
Yeah.
most of it is just like staying in touch and like making sure that, you know, we're like staying up to date and like connected on what's going on in each other's lives. And I think food and drinking has been like the best, like, what is it? It's been the best vehicle to get people to that place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder if
For
there's
sure.
anyone who was like, I like mini golfing as my main activity for new
Yeah.
friends.
I always take my first friend date to mini golf.
Actually, though, like, what is it? Or in my like mid 20s, there were some like new people that I met in the city that like, do you want to go to escape room when we just like
Mm,
recently met?
Mm.
And I was like,
No.
no.
that sounds horrible. Like you're with all these new people and then you're in a
Yeah.
stressful situation where you have to
Mhm.
work together, but like someone needs to be a leader also, but like you don't want to step on anyone's like that's just
Yeah. I think it's like what it's like a way to break the ice, but also like in my mid 20s, it was like a lot of like group hangouts too. So not everyone
Mm,
really knew each other, but we were all in a new city. So it was like kind of like a way to hang out as like a defined group of friends, even
Mm.
though we were still kind of getting to know each other. But yeah, I I declined.
oh, you never went to the escape room.
No. No, and like other it just like gives me so much anxiety. I don't want to meet people with like lots of anxiety like coursing through my blood. So I like calm
Yeah.
candlelit dinners.
Over a glass of wine. Well, I kind of actually feel like that was a good segue to icha because you were sort of comparing like between your 20s and now, like how you make friends. So why don't we just travel on over to icha? Cheers.
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 Yeah, let's just continue on that and just the differences of how we make friends and then our friendships like that we made between our childhood, our 20s, and then now in our 30s. Like, how has that evolved for you?
I feel like, when you're younger, this is probably an oversimplification, but when you're younger, you don't really like have a lot of choice of like where you hang out, right? Like you're sent to this school or like you live near this school so you go to that elementary school for example or that middle school and then like you have pretty standard places of where you hang out both in good or bad ways. You kind of make friends when you're there, right? You make friends at school, you make friends with like your after school program or like your guitar lesson or whatever. I've never taken a guitar lesson in my entire life. I don't know why that was the example. But then when you're an adult, like you kind of choose, right? You choose where your resources go, like your time, money, energy, and so you end up at a certain place, or you end up talking to certain people. It's kind of interesting in that way. I mean, both. I think like again, they're both like pros and cons to both, but like I'm thinking about how generalizing, I'm thinking, oh, it's so hard. It's much harder to make friends now versus younger, but it is much easier to make friends now. I think that you share a lot of values, like your big pillars in your life, right? The big pillars, like they
Mhm.
all kind of align now, because you also know yourself better too. So then you kind of end up meeting people in that
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
But I think a challenge also is like, and maybe this is just for me, but like I feel like, okay, right now in my life, there's like A, B, C, D things that I really enjoy or that I really like or that I really believe in. And then I am maybe looking for friends or connecting with friends that also have those values and things. But then does it close myself off to, new connections or relationships that maybe like these people are really different than I am? And so I kind of automatically go, oh, okay, they're different. So,
Mm,
you know, maybe I won't be
Oh,
that close to them or something like that.
yeah.
So I don't know. Lots of challenges, lots of benefits, but different for sure.
I think like the same thing with you, Megan, or like what you were saying, like most of my childhood friendships like came about through like similar circumstances. So like school, hagwon, church, but then like connect like even though you are in like the same share the same space or share the same kind of like weekly rituals, there's like one thing that like pinpoints and like draws that person out of the crowd. And I think it's like really common interests, like can we like play together, do we like can we like socialize in the same ways? So I think that that's like most of like how I built my like childhood friendships is like can we play together, can
Mm.
we go to the backyard or like ride our bikes, or can we like draw together or like do stupid funny like Britney Spears dances, things that like feel like playtime. And then I think like
Yeah.
adult friendships are more not based in like the common circumstances of like the being a part of a Korean American Christian household and like from like the San Fernando Valley. It's more like people from different walks of life. And it's not necessarily like based in play either. Like can we play together is like not like a question that I asked like my adult friends now. It's like more, I think, do we have like that connection? Do I feel warmth with you? So I think like that's like the main difference of like childhood friendships and adult friendships, though
mhm.
like childhood friendships have like morphed into adult friendships too. And I think
Yeah.
like now it's more like how do we connect to each other? Like how are we going to do life together? How are we doing life right now with like as adults now? So I think that's like the main like connecting point with like all of my adult friends now.
I feel like this is like kind of another tangent, sort of, but I don't know why I was thinking of this. I feel like trauma bonding is also like a really
Oh,
key thing with friendships.
100%.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
one of my really close friends, we met through work, like through a work circumstance.
Oh yeah.
And we had a really just unhealthy work environment, but we like bonded for life. And so we've been friends for almost 10 years now, like 9.5 years, and we're still like really close. So yeah, there's like that too. And I guess like that could happen at any point of your life. I think the interesting thing is like bonding through trauma is one thing, but then obviously the two of you probably still need to have like other things in common,
Mm,
for the friendship to be able to blossom and continue to
Hmm.
grow. But yeah, that was just another like factor I thought of. I guess kind of
Yeah.
regardless of age of your friendship.
or most of your like the adult friendships that you've made, actually with childhood friends too, like are they mostly girls or is it like a good mix between like girls and guys?
Ooh. So for me, most of my friends are girls. But the interesting thing is, like, when I was in middle school and high school, like, it was very, like, half and half, like, girlfriends, guy friends. And I feel like I was, like, equally close to,
Mhm.
like, both, all folks. But yeah, I don't know what happened in college. I think this is a whole other thing to unpack, but like, Christine and I were in a church fellowship in college, and I just feel like they stressed very much this like girls are together and boys are together. And there
Yeah.
were these like weird traditions of like, all rooted in like love and kindness and stuff. But I don't know if that had an impact on like me just not becoming close with guys, in my circle. But yeah, for me, it's definitely mostly girlfriends currently.
I think we've talked a little bit about this in some other previous episode, but yeah, like when I was growing up, like middle school, high school, even through college, maybe I had a lot of guy friends. Like, I didn't really, I mean, not on purpose necessarily, but like, I didn't have that many, like, I didn't have a big girlfriend group. Yeah, it wasn't until maybe like grad school I didn't really like get it. Like I didn't really feel like, oh, being part of like a women's group or like having conversations and connecting with other women, like I didn't really like fully understand the importance of it. I think up until like grad school where then I was part of a women's group and it was just like life changing at that point. But I think like throughout middle school, high school, I had a lot of guy friends and then throughout like the end of college through grad school until now, most of my friends are women. And then like a lot of the friends or the friends, acquaintances, like people that I know are like the partners of the male friends that I used to have or whatever, not used to have, but like that I was really close to. So that's kind of interesting as well. But yeah, there was like a pretty big shift for me, like late, that was early, like my early 20s, I guess.
And also, like, I think now in our 30s, it's not just like guys and girls, but if they're like married, they also become just like couple friends, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like that person alone. It's like you'll always hang out with the couple together with like your couple in your couplehood. I don't know.
and and
You know
also
what I'm
like,
saying,
and like this might be a hot take, but maybe it's not. Maybe most people agree, but like,
right?
as you grow older, you like start to have relationships. If
Mm-hmm.
you're, in a hetero, like straight relationship, right? You've got like a girl like being really close friends with a guy like might make the boyfriend upset and like vice versa. And like, again, it doesn't mean that you can't have friends of other genders, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
it just gets into this iffy territory when you're like really really close, and it sort of
Yeah.
can potentially be a threat to the other person. So I feel like that factor like kind of plays in as well as we grow older. So maybe that's also why when we're younger, perhaps like there's more variety, but
Yeah.
maybe it just kind of narrows down, and you still have like the guy friends, but they're just not your closest like circle of friends anymore. But again, don't know if that's a hot take for folks listening or if a lot of people agree, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it is a controversial one because like some people are like, no, like men and women can be friends and it's not a problem. And for some it's difficult. I don't know. And maybe, yeah, I can't tell if it's like a projection or something, but like there was a time when like I used to put some distance between me and like a guy friend if I knew that the guy friend like was just like started out dating or like they're just getting serious with someone. Like I used to put a little bit of distance between me and this friend just because like yeah, I also don't want, maybe I'm like, again, it's like maybe a little bit of a projection or something, but like I wouldn't want to be the girl, that's coming in or whatever and thinking like, oh, this guy that I really like has this friend and like they're friends and they're super close. I don't know. It's just like something. So I think like I like to kind of give it a little bit of room.
Did you hear
But
about the Genip thing, the Genip test?
the
Yes. Oh
Kenny.
my
Oh
gosh.
my gosh.
So,
Uh,
like, for the people who don't know what the Genip test is, there's this like thing in Korea, or this debate in Korea, where let's say that you are a girl and you are having dinner with your boyfriend, and then your like close girlfriend, and your close girlfriend is like struggling with like a perilla leaf. They're pretty sticky, and so sometimes like when you pick them up with chopsticks, you'll pick up two when you intended to pick up one. So you're kind of like struggling to just get one. but then your boyfriend goes in and reaches to help her separate the Genip parallelies. And so some people are on the side of like, that's not the guy's business. She should just whatever. Like, it's not, it's, he's crossing the line by helping her. Whereas other people are like, he's just literally helping her with like, because she's struggling with her chopsticks. So I think like there's this like fine line or balance that like, it depends on who the person is. Like, it depends on the culture, on like what is like appropriate between like those boundaries or like setting those boundaries. I think, I don't know, where are you guys out on
Yeah,
that?
well, I'm definitely on the side of like, yeah, he's just helping her. But I think like the takeaway is like it depends on, to your point, culturally, what's defined as intimate, right? And
Hmm.
like what's defined as like something that's so intimate that it really should be reserved for your partner. So like in
Right.
Korea, for some reason, helping someone with their genip is like so intimate that only your partner should do it. Um, so I think that's like the key is like what is that line of like intimacy, right? That
Mm,
Yeah.
that you don't want to cross with someone who's just a friend, you know.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I think there's like a part two to the Genip test, which is like,
Ooh.
like you grab the Genip that's like stuck, right? And then where do you place that Genip that you just helped grab?
On your
Do they
nipple.
place it? Do you take that Genip and then do you put it on your nipples for them to? Just kidding. Do you then put that on their plate, or do you just like you just help them and that's it? Because like
Yeah.
you shouldn't be putting things on like someone else's plate. So like there was that whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh
They,
my God, Koreans, man.
for me, culturally, I like to keep it very casual. Like, if my partner is helping my friend with a kidney because she's struggling, like, thank you for helping her. That's such a kind gesture.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna
Exactly.
like insert any like jealousy in it. And
Yeah.
also like it goes the same for like my guy friends too, where a lot of us are just like homies. Like a lot of my guy friends that I still like keep in touch with, we're super like casual friends. And when we hang out, we I feel like they bring out like their feminine energy, though they're like heterosexual male, and then I bring out like my masculine energy. And there's like a good balance where that's just how we relate to each other, but we feel that like heartfelt like conversations whenever we hang out. I think that like if their girlfriends are uncomfortable with that dynamic, then of course like I'd back off. But generally, like most of their girlfriends have been like chill girls, and I also want to become friends with them too.
I feel like we're at a point, I mean, age is nothing but a number, but like I think sometimes like you just come to a point where like you can read the room, right? You read vibes, you read the room, and like you just are respectful of people and like people's partners and people's relationships and just people in general. And so you just act accordingly. And so if it starts to feel like inappropriate, we know what that is. So maybe, draw some lines, you know, talk about some boundaries, but then if it's not to that point, then just
Mhm.
be
But what
you.
happens when it turns romantic? Have you ever had that happen where it's like you were friends with a guy and then like it turned unexpectedly?
While they had a
No, no,
girlfriend
no,
or
no,
just
no, no,
in
no, no,
general?
no.
Oh.
Yeah, you were like
Mm.
close with the guy friend, and then
Oh yeah,
you're like,
definitely.
Oh yeah. Yeah, then you go into the
I
room
feel
and
like
I'm just kidding.
you put the nape on your nipple. I wonder like what percent of relationships start out that way too. Not necessarily
Yeah,
relationships that last
yeah,
like through all time, but just
right.
like aggregate relationships. I feel like a fair amount of them must begin where it's like two like really close friends who then,
yeah.
becomes
Yeah.
So cute.
romantic. Yeah.
So cute.
That's kind of like you and Dane, right? You two were like friends before, like you decided.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say like I wouldn't have if someone told me to like list out your guy friends or list out your friends, like
Mm,
Dane probably wouldn't have made the list like as like a
Mhm.
intimate friend, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus like I think in high school, like I've had the experience of like you have like a really close friend and then it
Mhm.
like turns into something a little more. Yeah, Dane's kind of in between, I guess, because like yeah, he was like a friend slash acquaintance, but we weren't like super super close until we like started to be interested in each other.
Yeah, Dane was on the list of close friends for me, and then I
Hmm.
traded him in
For me.
for someone better.
Oh yeah, Dane was before Dane was your like became your boyfriend. He was like homie. Like
Hmm.
we would hang
Megan
out.
told
He would
me.
yeah, he was homie.
Yeah,
I know it's kind of weird that that's how we met because, like,
I
I feel like
know.
our friendship is just so beyond that now. But the first time
Yeah,
we met was because, like, yeah, you were friends with
it's like
Dane. So I was
Dane's
like meeting
girlfriend.
Dane's
Yeah,
friend. Yeah, Dane's girlfriend
so
that, I
weird.
was replacing. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
And in that instance, there was like zero sense of like that, like, jealousy, weird intimacy we were just talking about with like
Yeah.
friends. But yeah, but look at look at us.
Look
Like,
at
I'm
us
so
now.
happy. All
Yeah.
right, should we? I have a crazy idea. Should we just down the rest of our drinks for samcha?
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Wait, this
Damn.
is wait,
Christina's like
what? Wait, this is straight gin.
Hey, you're the one who poured it.
let's just
Like,
go over the edge,
okay.
you guys.
You want to take like 3 shots in a row? Let's do it.
Yeah.
As she pulls out her liquid IV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but always responsible, always chasing with liquid
Mhm.
IV at the end of the night. Liquid
Yep.
IV, please reach out and sponsor us.
For the millionth time. Yeah.
Hmm.
They're like liquid IV is surprisingly pretty expensive. Like,
Yeah,
why? But it's so worth it.
It's
yeah.
so good though.
Hmm.
What's your favorite flavor?
Honestly,
Ooh.
I'm a lemon lime girl, like
Really?
all the way. Cause it reminds me of like Mexican candy kind of.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Doesn't it? Like, cause it's like lemon
Hmm.
lime, it's like sour, salty, like it's
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah,
good.
I like lemon lime, but I also like the tangerine immunity
Mm.
liquid
Oh.
IV.
I
And
haven't tried the
then,
immunity one.
oh, it's really good. And then the what is it? The like matcha one,
That's
the
my
energy
favorite.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lemon
Oh, the
ginger
pineapple?
matcha. No, it's
Oh,
lemon ginger. Yeah, there might be two energy ones that have matcha in them, but then it's the lemon ginger one specifically.
That one is so
not
good.
sponsored, but
It's kind of
please.
hard
Yeah.
to dissolve though. I wish it was like easier because it like clumps up, but
Yeah, you have to like really, really stir it
get in
well.
there.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyways, you can tell that we are a huge fan of Liquid IV. So please, any listeners out there who have connects, send this their way. We've talked about like childhood friendships and adult friendships, like gender different or different gender friendships. But what do you do when a friendship in adulthood doesn't work out? How do you navigate that?
You take a bottle of gin. It is tough because it's different. Like when you're younger, maybe you moved or like you just like, there's like pre social media time. So like maybe like on your Zanga, you were like, I'm not friends with this person or like
You're not
whatever,
in my
right?
top five
Yeah,
anymore.
you're not my top 5. Like I think now, just like a romantic breakup, you don't want to just like ghost the person. You probably want to like have some closure.
I have like one experience where it was like more on the dramatic side. I think for the most part, I was going to share this point earlier, but like I never really had the same group of friends throughout my entire life. Like I would go to like my elementary school and then I went to one middle school and everyone else went to a different middle school. And then the same thing happened from middle school to high school. And so I never had like the same group of friends. I had like my best friends in elementary school, my best friends in middle school, etc. So I think like growing up, just naturally my friendships faded due to proximity or like lack of proximity. And I think for the most part, like my style is like, if we don't catch up or like we don't keep in touch, like it's okay. And then if we do happen to meet up after a year, like we can kind of just pick up. So that's kind of been my style for a lot of my life. There was one friendship where I think it just came from a lot of misunderstanding of like what the other person like expected, and like me not communicating really clearly. And I think the toughest part of it is like letting go of what that person might think of you. Like, let's say the relationship, the friendship goes south and you're just not seeing eye to eye. You know, my anxiety would get the better of me and be like, oh, but it's like that person has this image of me and like that's not true, or like they see these negative aspects but they don't see like why, or they don't see the positive side. And so it was a real struggle for me, this was in college, of like letting go of that. And I really had to just focus on the friendships I did have that were like close and strong around me, to just be grounded and like these people know like who I am, and they see like me in my entirety or whatever it was, and they're not seeing this other kind of view of me. So yeah, so I feel like that for me was the hardest hurdle to overcome. It is kind of self-centered because it's like, what is this person thinking of me?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, but that is like, that stands out to me as kind of one of the challenges that I had to go through with
Mm,
like a friendship breakup in my past. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. It's always tough because there's like so many, there's like not a wrong answer, I almost feel, but then there's also like not a right answer. Because I was going to say earlier, oh, maybe this, you take it as if it's like a romantic breakup or where you have to talk things through and talk about what's working, what's not working, and like kind of draw parameters or boundaries around like your expectations and like those not being met and all of these things. And like I think that's one way to do it. But like sometimes I just feel like that that gets to be like too much, because if like one person is feeling a certain way and maybe the other person is not, or you're both feeling something but like it's not being brought up, to then take that and like turn that into like a learning experience and like try and like make them understand, to your point, Christina, like where you come from and like this is how it was for you and yada yada yada. Like I sometimes feel like that closure conversation can actually sometimes make things worse. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I just don't have the right tools. So I'm speaking about it just with like the knowledge that I know. But I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling, but basically to say, I think it just depends. It depends on you. It depends on the receiving, person. And it just depends on like what makes you two feel comfortable about the end of something and then like going from there, I guess.
And like the reason that this is even on the table, like, is it because you just had an argument about something that was like very specific? Or is it like just more of like growing apart and it's like deeper, you know? So there's like those
Mhm.
layers as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cause if it was like a one, like something like, oh, they
Mhm.
murdered somebody on the street, I don't know, like something really extreme, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm probably just like, I'm okay not speaking to you suddenly or whatever, I don't know. Whereas like if it's something that's kind of happened over time, then yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's tough.
Well, and
It's
Yeah.
tough.
also, sorry, I'm like, I just keep bouncing off of what you're saying. Like,
Mm.
I
Yeah.
feel like it's also like, let's say there's something that your friend did, or like something about the way they are that bothers you, right? Is that something that like is fixable, or not, maybe quote unquote fixable, is like changeable? Or is it something that's just fundamentally like
Who
who
they
they
are.
are, and
Yeah.
you would be
Yeah,
doing a disservice in trying to change them?
right.
So I think it's, how you figure that out could be in different ways. But yeah, it's like, what is it about the friend that is, just not sitting right with you? And is it something that can be addressed because they're like going down this path that is like, seems dangerous or something like that? Or is it just like
Mhm.
Right.
something about the way they are?
Wait, you
Yeah.
just made a really good point about like it's almost, this sounds like kind of weird, but like it's almost and very cheesy, but it's like it's not them, it's almost you. Like I
Mhm.
feel like when it's when it's like that,
Mm.
it's like you're just going through a certain life change or like a season in your life where you feel differently about a certain aspect or something. And so like it may seem like it might be the other person that's doing something wrong or weird or whatever
Mhm.
in, let's say, my eyes, but it's
Yeah.
actually not that. It could be something that like I'm going through, and a
Mhm.
season that I'm in where I'm thinking about life differently, and it just happens to be that that person or this group of people or whatever, it's just not like serving where I'm kind of wanting to go. So then it
Mhm.
ends up being, it kind of ends up being
Mhm.
Yeah.
dismantled.
And it's
Mhm.
also just like there are beautiful things about this person that you want
100%.
to like preserve, and then within yourself you're like conditioned to be a certain way too. So over time you become more of that person or you become different people. And so
Mm,
just having to address those differences and potentially like the the different expectations that arise out of like those changes, I think that that's something that like happens naturally with like transitions between seasons in your life. But I also do think that like I've gone in like deep spirals with like my friendships of like, how can I show up better for this person? Why am I not showing up for this person? Like understanding my attachment style better to kind of like reason through like the exchanges of like those like tense moments with friends, and trying to like draw a little bit more empathy out of like why this person is reacting that they are, or why I'm reacting the way that I am. So I think like I like process everything internally and then like find some kind of resolve of like how to move forward or like what to communicate. But it's never an easy conversation to have, especially with someone that you like shared so much love with. But sometimes it's just like it has to happen.
kind of goes back to like learning about yourself and like
Yeah.
Mhm.
doing the work to like understand your style, like your attachment style, your whatever, your personality, like what's really
Mm,
important to you. And then that then gets, that bleeds into every other relationship. So,
yeah. And you have to be okay with it. Like once you've thought through it deeply and
mm,
you made your decision, it's like, this is a hard choice that I have to make. I'm going to make it and then like have my peace and move on. And I think that this is just kind of like a natural part of like growing up is being able to make those choices for yourself and be deliberate through all of the pieces of the conversation that need to be had. Being an adult as a friend is like fun, but it's also like hard too because you're very, very responsible for carrying that person's heart.
And it's like when we're younger, it's like you have these like little like cat fights maybe, or it's like you just don't go so deep so it doesn't get that intense, right? But like
Yeah.
as adults, it's like we're expected to act like adults and
Yeah.
respect each other's time and emotions. So yeah, it does come with a lot of responsibility.
With all of the friends that I've had made in my life and like the friendships that like I grew apart from, I still remember like all of the brightest things about like that person, like the memories that I have with them. It's never like the hard
Mm.
emotions that I had to process. It's always like this person was such an amazing person, still continues to be an amazing person, and I love this person so much. And we've shared a lot of great memories, but like at this stage in my life, those expectations won't work.
Mm.
Yeah.
mm.
We had such a great conversation, but I think it's also like I've been asking these surprise questions at the end, and I thought of one today. I'd love to hear like one quality in a friendship that you deeply appreciate. Like when you think about all of your friends that you love, and like one kind of like through line that is like present in those friendships. What do you appreciate most on like the receiving end of from your friends? That was like stated in a really like naughty, not like naughty, but like twisted, hard to understand way. But basically, like what is a trait in friendship that you appreciate a lot?
I'll go, I guess. Mine is humor. And I think it just encapsulates a lot of things because I think you don't have to have the same type of humor, I guess. You kind of do, but like I think just like understanding each other's humor is what's key. And because when you don't understand someone's humor, like that's where a lot of misunderstanding can happen, and it just like interrupts the flow of the conversation, right? If someone like isn't on the same page as you. So yeah, I think like humor, and then through that, like you laugh, and when you laugh you're more comfortable, and that allows you, like opens you up to like share more with your friends. So yeah, I like it's deeper than just sense of humor, but I would say I feel like that's a central point of like a lot of my strong friendships.
100%. We're
Yeah.
always like throwing stupid jokes with each other.
Yeah, just like doing little bits and like throwing jokes,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, it's fun because like friendships should be fun, at the end of the day. Like we should also help
Yeah.
each other grow and like all of that, but I want to have fun with people that I'm with.
It should also like adult friendships should incorporate like play and fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for
sometimes we lose
sure.
sight of that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Megan, what about you?
Ooh. I'm thinking about like my love language, like how I receive love. I mean, I'm all four, but like all four of them. but I think
All of
a
it.
lot of it, all of it. I want all of it. But for me, like acts of service is a big one for me. So like it's kind of I guess related to Christina, but like when like you send me like TikToks, and it could be a funny TikTok, but it can also be like just like a something that's related to something that I do, for example, or like whatever it is, or like
Like
a picture of
pottery or
something.
something.
Yeah, pottery or like pictures of old people or something. Like I feel like when you send that, or when people send that, it's like that makes me feel like super loved. And so then it really I don't know
It
where
is,
I
it
was
is, it is really, it is a huge,
it's really
no, I will say it's a big act of service to send a TikTok to someone who does not have TikTok.
I know. I know. It's
To like
very
input
true.
it to their photo, like to their albums, and then have to like go
Exactly.
Yeah.
outside of the app
I'll
and
like do
text
the
you.
Yeah,
link.
I
Yeah.
know. It's major.
But it's because I love you.
Um, yeah, yeah, I feel it. Or like when Christine, you sent me the wine glasses, and it's just like so beautiful and so perfect. Like it's just like little things where like you know that they know that about you, and so then they take the time out of their day to like go out and do something or send something, or again, even if it's like just like a simple photo or like not a simple TikTok link. Yeah, I feel like I always feel like super loved and like appreciated in friendships that way, and I feel like that's
Aw.
like the lasting ones.
Mm.
What about you, Christine?
I think it totally has to do with like love languages, right? Like what you like to
Mm.
receive in friendships. And like my top love language for what I like to receive is words of affirmation. So
Mm.
when we're having like meaningful conversations, when we're like lifting each other up through our words, I think that is like one thing that I think about with like all of my friendships that like I really, really hold dear to my heart. It's like the deep conversations that we've had. So and like just like hyping each other up and
Mm.
reminding each other of like how much of a badass like we are, and I love that so much. So that is one element of like my favorite friendships. Not that I have like I do have favorites, but like ones that like the ones that that I really really treasure, like close to my heart. It's like it's that for sure.
Mm.
Yeah, and you guys, we're
Aw.
doing that. We're always having words of affirmation through all the
Yeah,
friendships.
this is
So
truly like just a love language in itself.
magical friendships
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Aw.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, let's finish these glasses.
Oh my god. I
Oh,
just poured myself more.
we're getting lit tonight.
Well, cheers to another episode.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, and then
Bye.
yeah, don't forget to follow us at Samcha
Oh yeah,
Podcast.
everywhere
Yes.
on
Everywhere.
Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on email. What else is there? That's it,
Yeah,
right?
someone
Twitter,
send us
our
like a fun
website.
email.
Someone sent us an email?
No, I'm saying someone send us a fun email.
Yeah. Or a DM to slide through.
Yeah.
We're all ears. We'd love to hear about your thoughts on friendships, and we should do like polls or things like that.
Yeah, voting.
Cool.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.